So I want to delete a dummy records here. Okay. What is saying how to find a records to delete. Use ID stored in a record variable or record collection, but I have not stored anywhere. So you have some variable, then I can pick that variable here. No. So I would say specific conditions. So it will query the records here and then do a delete. So I want to query on a account object, and what are the conditions? I want to do a condition that is active equal to false. So we have a global constant false. On an account object, if active flag is saying a false, and I have a something like a last modified date. Okay, last modified date is what I would say is less than um, 1 year. Okay, if it is less than 1 year, then only I want to delete this. Okay, now I want to give the date 1 year back, 1 year back from today. Suppose if I gave 2021 August 5, so after 2 days it will not be valid, right? So I have to give some kind of a formula so that it will be accurate. So let's create a new resource, and here the type is called a formula, and here I would say um, date 1 year back. Maybe you can give a better naming. Just I'm giving some name here. Okay, data type should be a date, right? So date, and it should be a today minus 1 year. So I can do a 365 days, which will be exact days, or if I want to do exactly 1 year back. So what I can do here, the function is I can do here call it dot add years, or say -1. I would say add years -1. So if I give just 1, it will add 1 year. If I do a -1, this it will go back 1 year back date. Okay, done. Okay, so if it is less than the 1 year back date, then delete it. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Then done. Okay, that's it. Nothing else I needed. Just save. Um, schedule flow to delete accounts. Okay, done. Save. Okay, saying the formula expression invalid, syntax error, extra dot. Okay, let's go there. Okay, add years -1. Okay, what is wrong? Okay, add year to date in flow. Okay, you can do 365 days to add a year. Okay, it's saying use, so -365 days. Done. Say okay, it's no error now. Okay, so do -365 days. That will be a 1 year. Okay, then activate. Then what will happen? It will schedule for this time. It will run. Okay, I want to check. Is this really scheduled or not. There will be a scheduled jobs where you can check whether anything got scheduled or not. Here you can see schedule flow to delete triggers and submitted on 8/4, and next schedule is on 8/10. 12 a.m. it will get started. Okay, give me a second. What's the password? Okay, that is a schedule flows. So how we can check a schedule flow, whether when it's going to trigger or it's active or not? We can go to a schedule jobs and see whether any of the jobs are scheduled with that name. Okay, this is on a schedule flows, and we have platform trigger flows. We will create which platform event will trigger this flow, and that's it. The same flow. The initial step would be changed, but all remaining will be same. Choose platform event. So I'll pick any of the event that is already there, and here all steps will be same. Okay, so I want to save here. And what else I have? Auto launch flow. Auto launch flow, it will directly go to a flow. It will not ask any condition. It will directly jump onto a creation of the flow. Why? Because it's auto launch. It will be triggered from some other place. Okay. I would say here, add components will be, I would say, create record that I would like to create account. Resource use of type variable. Account drive each account subject error. Account type. Done. Account is created, but before doing account, I wanted to assign the values. So let's do assignment. Assign values to account. Okay, new account variable is, and this new account I want to give account name equal to Klata. Bye to and add one more assignment, that is this one industry equal to agriculture. I want to give the new account. Next one is the annual revenue equal to some values, and done. Okay, assigned the values and created the flow, and I'm saving this flow as a auto launch flow. Okay, and then save. And if I do activate, then only it will be available for other flows. Okay, it is activated now. Now, if I see any of the other flows, for example, I'd like to go for I'd like to go into screen flow account create. Okay, so this is already in flow existed. If I want to add a subflow to it, okay. If I want to add a subflow to it, you can see that auto launch flow name here, auto launch flow, and you can name it as call subflow. Okay, and done. And when I want to create it one, I wanted to like call from here. Okay, So that what will happen? It will automatically call the subflow from here. Okay. Suppose if I want to call this flow from a somewhere from a process builder, for example, process builder. Okay, I can go to a process builder, one of my process builders, and here, just I will, I cannot edit here, I guess. Yes, okay, it's the inactive version. So here, if I want to do an action, that is a calling a flow, okay, flows, and then call flow, for example, okay, call flow and find the flows. See here, auto launch flow, which is I created, it will be available. Okay, that's how I can call this flow from a other process builder. Sorry, yeah, other process builder or from other flows also I can use auto launch flows. Okay, that is on so there's a lot more things on a flows actually. So you can just keep on exploring. So you will find more actions to it. Okay, there are so many things like a decision, filter, sort, and you do practicing, you will get to know all those things, how to use and all. Okay, it's most of them are like self-explanatory, and that's how we work with the different flows. Now let's jump on to the next topic is a approval process. So for what we see is a process automation. That means if you done some record changes, then what that need to happen automatically on the backend without any user intervention. But this approval process is something different. That is need some kind of approvals. Give me a second. Okay. Approval process in the name itself suggests, like explains that it is some kind of approvals. Suppose if I have some thing that need to be approved by someone else, then what is a way that I can make it happen? That is, suppose if I have a functionality that suppose I am like building some kind of a interview portals. Okay, so there will be a screening process before the scheduling the interview. Okay, first they will shortlist the resumes, and after that they have to like check the candidates will be allowed to submit their applications, and once the application is submitted, there will be a screening team who will screen and either approve their request or they reject, right? So only if they're approved, then only it will proceed further. In such cases, suppose if I'm running a bank and I applied for some loan and whether it's approved or rejected, or like I was um, building a finance app and whether I need to release this amount or sanctioning an amount, such a things, or like Walmart. Suppose if I'm doing a sale, if it's get approved after payment or not, I have to check. So those kind of process where we wanted to make sure that a record that needs some approval. So it will send a notification to some managers or superiors, then they will respond to it in terms of approving or rejecting by adding some comments or modifying some changes to it. For such process, we use a functionality called approval process in a Salesforce. Approval processes. So in approval process, it will also similar to a workflow rule. It will be on an object. So you can see it is an object. If I want to create the approval process on a location, for example. Okay, here I can create a new approval process. There's two navigations, jumpstart widget or standard widget. Both will be same. Ultimately, you're creating approval process only. So let's start with the jumpstart widget. You will be giving a name. Let's say I'm giving a location approval. Okay, so what should be the entry criteria of it? First, I will explain theoretically. So what are all there will be in approval process? What we'll be having is record locking and entry criteria and initial submit actions, initial approval actions, or not initial actually, it would be step 1 approval process, sorry, step 1 reject actions and final approval actions and final rejection actions. And one more we have is a recall actions. Yeah, that's all. These are what the terms you see in the approval process. And who is submitter and who is a approver. These are all we need to aware of while setting up a approval process. Record locking means whenever you submit for record for approval, it will get locked. Nobody in the R can edit this record because you submit for approval and the data cannot be altered. So it will be locked by the whoever submits it. And you can give some privileges to a approver or admin who can make still changes. But not everyone who have the special permission, only they can change those records. So that is a record locking. It will call record locking and record unlocking. In certain cases, it will get locked. In certain cases, it will get unlocked. Give me a second. Next. Yep. So record locking and record unlocking. So record locking means it will not allow submitter or like other users to edit the record. And during the locking period, only based on our setup, either admin or approver can only make changes to the record. Unlocking means it will like normal. It will not lock for any other users. Just it will be unlocked like normal records. And entry criteria. When you have records in object, when you specify entry criteria, if that record meets that criteria, then only you will be allowed to submit the record for a approval. Then only you can submit. If you criteria not met for the given record, then you will be not able to submit. The criteria has to meet to submit the record for an approval. Okay. Then we'll define that criteria. Initial submit action. So whenever or like a step 1, okay, initial submit actions. Whenever you submit the record for approval, it's not approved on a reject. Whenever it submit itself, you want to perform some actions. So these actions are all actions what you can perform is equivalent to workflow actions. That is a field update and email alert and what you can do task like a new task or a outbound message. All you can do on a these all actions, wherever you see actions, all these four type of actions that what workflow we have, all these actions are supported in the approval process also. So whenever initial submits, you can define what actions need to be done and approval actions. So whenever the record is approved on a step one, there will be a set of actions that you can define. If it's rejected, what need to happen? If it is finally approved, what would happen? If it's finally rejected, what would happen? What's a in step one and a final? So you can define a multiple steps also in the approval process, like step one, step two, step three, like multi-step also you can define in a approval process. You can have one step also. So when you have a multi-step approval process, then you have to define. So if you need a anonymous approval or just one approval is enough. Anonymous approval means if you have a three steps, on these three steps, if you get approved, then only it will be final approved. Okay, so if at least one approval is required, then just whenever the first approval itself done, then it will be finally approved. Okay, now recalling. Suppose I submit the record and before approver acts on it, like either approving or rejecting the record, you can recall it. First thing was whether you have to enable whether the user should be able to recall it or not. If you enable, then only you have that feature. So whenever the user recalls, so if you want to do any actions on it or not, that actions will be there. Okay, when approved or rejected happens, there will be no recall option available. And after, like on configuration itself, you have to define who can submit the record for approval and who can approve the record. Like who are the approvers for this record. These are also we will define. And record locking. When record locking happen, when record unlocking will happen. Whenever you submit, record locking will happen. Whenever you recalled, it will be unlocked. If it is approved, it will be continue locking the record. If it is rejected, then only it will be unlocking. That's how the approval process is. Let's see how it is. Entry criteria. Entry criteria will be if city equals New York or Vizag, then only allow them to submit the record for approval. Select approver. Who are the approvers for the record? There are like 1, 2, 3, 4 type of options available. Let's submit or choose the approver manually. So whenever who are submitting, if they know who is the approver, they can select the approver manually and submit. Automatically assign approver using a standard custom hierarchy fields. We have a hierarchy fields. Can we use it or not? Automatically assign to a queue. So we remember discuss about a queues. So that there will be a group of members, we can make them as a owner. So if you have any queue that can be act as a approver for this approval process, you can define that queue. So all the queue members will get notified. So automatically assigned to approver. So it has to be automatically assigned to a specific user. Then you can add those approvers in this list. So when you have multiple approvers, it's asking for only based on first one or require anonymous approval or not. So you have that options over here. So for now, I select the who is approver is team is a approver. Okay, let's say okay. Fine. Yeah, like you have to define all these options. Create additional steps. For example, when it's auto approved, initial submissions, final approval, final rejection, recall actions. Let's go to these steps. So you can see all these steps. What here we have approval process, and on initial submission, the default one is record get locked, and final approval also record will be locked. And if you reject, also it's locked. Final approval also locked. Recall, okay, unlock the record. Okay, here. Sorry, it is recall is unlock the record for editing. Reject also unlock the record for editing. Approve, lock the record being edited, so it will be locked. So reject and recall, it will be unlocked, and submit for approval also, it will be locked. So approval steps, we have just one step, and here also you have a step one also, you have one approval action and rejection actions. So you can add actions at all these levels. Okay. Okay, let's see on a location what we can add actions. On a location, whether we have a status. Okay, I don't have any status kind of thing. I would say I'm going to create one pick list field to explain you on actions, approval, status. I'm giving a values. Values will be pending, recall, approved, rejected, compact layouts, new compact layout, location. So I need a city, approval status, location, final, return. Okay, it's done now. Let's go to some of the. So I'm going to I have a location. So this is how the location is. And on this one, we have a button called submit for approval. It will ask for what are the comments. Okay, please approve. I'm giving in. Let's do a submit. There is no applicable approval process was found. Why? Because the entry criteria is here the city is Hyderabad. For what I allowed, Vizag and New York only allowed to submit the approval process. Okay, let's go back to our approval process. Okay, let's go to our approval process. What is the navigation setup? Search for approval process and then select your object, Walmart location, and then go to this approval process. In this approval process, I want to initial submit actions. I want to do one field update. Okay, the field update is update status to pending, for example. Okay, and I want to update the approval status field to value is a pending. Okay, so this is the initial submission action I want to do. And in step 1, I wanted to, on approve action, I wanted to do a field update. Update status to approved. Okay, the status field is the approval status field. I want to select it as a approved and save. Okay, now what else I have? I have rejection action. That is a field update, and here reject update status to rejected. So approval status, it has to be a rejected. And what else I have? In the recall, I would like to add a field update. That is a state update status to recall. So here I'll update the suppose status to a recall and save. Okay, I have set all my actions. Just to explain, just I'm field updating I'm doing. You can do email alerts, field updates, outbound message, whatever you want, you can do, all these levels of actions. Now let's activate this one, approval process, then only it will work. Okay, it's activated. Now let's submit this record for a approval. Okay, so it's still saying no applicable process. Okay, let's refresh and do it again. Why it is not allowing? Because it is not meeting the entry criteria. That's why it's not allowing. Okay, let's make it allowable. Let's change the city to a WYP and Vizag and save and make it a submit for approval. Submit. See, now it got submitted. Okay, now here in the related list, you will be seeing a submit approval for history here. Who are the approvers? Approval history will be there in this related list. That is a approval history to the pending with this user called a team is a user. So here you have option to reassign, recall, approve, reject. Because I am admin, I was able to see all this. If it is a normal standard user, then they will be able to see only recall option. They will not have approve and reject, reassign options. Only recall options. Only approver will have an option to approve, reject, and reassign. Okay, for example, if I recalled it. Okay, okay, please recall. Answer recall. Now, see, there is no actions available now. Approve is not there, reject is also not there. So the approval status is also updated to recall. Now again, let's submit back this record to submit for approval. Submit, and you can again it's submitted. Now if I reject this one, then it will be rejected. Okay, let's submit again for approval and do approve. So here you can see again pending. Now if I do approve and then done, it will get approved. This is how the approval process will be, and the record locking also you can test with the like a limited user, like standard user or someone, so that you can see you will be not able to edit the record. Okay, this is how a approval process in Salesforce works, and you can build like more complex workflow rules or sorry, a process approval process also we can build. So what we had left is that is reports, dashboards, and we have a data imports and exports. Let's cover that. Let's cover that on a Monday. and catch up to wrap up on a Monday, and we'll plan Wednesday if you have any questions and all. Okay, any questions we have?